What bean do you recommend? I like my coffee strong.
It depends on the portfolio of skills that you have and whether or not the employer wants those skills. Of course, right now, with all this AI coming along, essentially it is the job for an AI era. Do you know how to use AI tools? Do you know how to do data analytics? How can you show me with the skills that you can help me with the kind of jobs? So generally, our training is all right. Among all the 6 universities, the core training, we are very much solid. But companies are looking for those who can hit the road and run. And this is where the variable comes in. And they are pretty selective as far as students is concerned. Mostly, we're looking at ASEAN and China and India. This is where the market is. China and India combined is more than 1/3 the world population. So the rest of the others, ASEAN, big populations in Malaysia, and Indonesia is the biggest. So we encourage them to set up shop, at least to open up the market. Certainly production. So for example, a lot of our furnitures, although we buy it from IKEA or buy it from Cost, the factories is in Malaysia for this reason. So they just ship it out from that. So Singapore is the business front, the commercial front, the sales, the support. The production is neighboring countries.
Yeah, I think, based off my research and speak of personal capacity, Southeast Asia for the next decade is where the double digits growth is.
China, ASEAN, and India is where the revenue is going to be generated, is where the businesses want to be. All right, minus whatever turbulence in the US. Well, they're still growing once they sort out their politics. If they do, Europeans are still trying to figure out, because there's a war there. So Asia becomes the next growth. It has always been just that. We now want to make it more successful. Coming to Asia is precisely to do business. So that's how it is, right? South Korea, Japan, and China, India, obviously. So graduates, and my encouragement to graduate is, if there's a job in ASEAN, go. If there's a job in China, go. Go to India, yes. And if you're really adventurous, you want to live in a country that's totally different culture, like in India, go. That's where the opportunity, that's where the job, that's where your experience. And once you have the experience, you can pivot all around the world. The same playbook that what we have learned, previously from our Western friends. Pivot from home country, pivot whether it's from Netherlands, from Europe, for whatever comes here, pivot to French and whatever.
I've seen in Southeast Asia that there's so much talent. I have a team in Vietnam, right? And most of them have gone and studied at overseas universities and then come back and are deploying the skills. And you look at Vietnam at the moment, booming, right?
Yes.
They got something right.
Correct.
If you go back a decade ago, there was something they did that they're yielding the benefits of now. Same for Singapore. Singapore leapfrogged way back. So I see a lot of highly educated individuals residing in Southeast Asia, either from the universities here or the best universities from overseas.
Right. You take Vietnam, for example, they have a big, first of all, young population. And they have got developed over the ashes of the war and whatever. So now there is a very good middle income populations. And they can afford to send their kids overseas, depending. And then many of them are bright. Those who can go out are very bright and go after our scholarship. And after that, very interesting, there's still this very nationalistic kind of thing, especially the young people. That they create business, they do. One of the, probably, as your own experience, the IT people, they're pretty good in IT. They had a fraction of the cost of what we are, which is what our threat is. we can do this. They can do the same fraction for cost. And that becomes a premium for business. We hired one here. They hired 3 over in States.
Yeah, that's a fact. I mean, my technical team is based in Vietnam.
All right. So they are very good with this anyway. Now with coding and whatever, once you understand, you're able to code for whatever. So they become the development centers. They becomes another pivot away from traditionally it will be Bangalore, where you have all your data factories or coders are all there. So now Vietnam becomes a mix. Purely one of the factors is geographic, because Vietnam, Ho Chi Minh, I think is class 1 time zone. So it's about the same time zone. Very, very easy to do business, fly there, do business or come back, all within the same day. So that becomes an advantage. So we can look at it, and we have always wants to be a unique version of the European Union, minus the politics. We just want to we don't bother with.
You position yourself like a Switzerland or
for neutral. We try not to be overly bothered. Unless of course you fight a war, then you need to make sure that few people get killed. In terms of population, all wants to have a decent living, all wants to enjoy a cup of coffee and have certain level of quality of life, and that's good for the region. If everybody has got enough money to spend,
live a good life. Yeah, I think the political stability is a big plus for the region. What the ASEAN nations have done is really position themselves as neutral between the 2 polarizing superpowers. And they're kind of very carefully architected a way to remain neutral.
Yes.
And I think that will be the reason for the next decade of double-digit success, because everyone's saying, okay, where do we go to unlock Asia? And it's this region, right?
Yeah. So country with young populations all would want to aspire to have a good lifestyle. It is, in one sense, a very positive incentive that create jobs, good jobs, and they can earn a decent living, buy a house, get married, settle down, and they built the good old days in the post-war of US, the 50s, where the so-called the golden age, where you look at the Simpsons kind of story, right? But average guy earned, it's a reflection. The Simpsons is a reflection of the typical average American society. That works. Lifelong employment, mom's there, take care of
the American dream, which is no longer really, that was gone. It's evaporated or printed away. Yeah.
So the Asian version, especially the younger ones, is also not where dad goes out to work. It's a dual income. One child, and they have all the best in life. So specific to Vietnam is, first of all, I think I'm very glad they got their politics sort of like settled. Let's not rock the boat, everybody prosper together. Tourists will want to go there to visit, tourist money, and they require services. So SME support the services, and they have a lot of offshore kind of business, data centers, ITs, the support staff that once upon a time were very much domains of Singapore, now is offshore to
Malaysia is investing a lot in infrastructure for AI at the moment. So you look at data centers, you look at the
Malaysia, again, so we have many friends in Malaysia. I always live in Malaysia, have a very, very close cousins or brother or whatever. And hopefully we pray that things will be even better once they set aside the politics and they are so rich in terms of land. And we can benefit from Johor across your SEZ. Build your factories there. Employ those who are coming to Southern Johor. Pay them decent salary. Not necessarily exactly the same because they're so expensive, but even at half the cost in terms of ringgit, it will attract people, right? So those Johorians or even certain parts of Malaysia, they say in Johor, cheap housing, best of both worlds, have so much for shopping and stays in Johor. And is our business, right, our SME able to pivot towards the SEZ, set up data centers, set up IT centers and whatever, and employ the local to do it and give them certain level of quality. We prosper together. Elevates our high costs. So at least certain things that our high pay can justify the bills, the revenue, fine, keep it here. The rest that you need to maintain the cost competitive, move over without the problems of uncontrolled order, whatever. So I also try to manage to make sure that we draw our lines. We can't afford to go back to our pre-2011 days. Everybody all comes in, and we have a problem with local people in local parts.
Yeah, so you've definitely seen the free-flowing migration of people between the regions in Southeast Asia is very well enabled.
Yeah, I lived through all my life, and I'm 62. I lived through all the life before and after 21. We need to have that balance of work in order for also ultimately depends on, without going too much argumentative, you still have to take care of your own people. I think he must take care of his own people. We are wrong here. We serve our nations, we take care of us first. And then after that, we share our wealth. We share our wealth.
Yeah, that's an interesting psychology to get right, because on the one hand you want to be nationalistic, on the other hand you want to be regionally integrated and collaborative. I think that my question earlier about what's happening with it, because you've got these amazing universities and all this talent, you kind of don't want to have a brain drain, right? One of the challenges South Africa's had is a lot of its skills has left the country for various reasons. So how do you keep your talent in the country and make sure that you're leveraging, because the investment to train a student to a point is extremely high, especially if it's subsidized by the government.
Yeah.
So the last thing you want is losing all your students overseas.
Right.
However, in the same breath, what you're saying is the regional collaboration is key. The migration of skills and capability is key, right?
Yeah, good question. It's essentially jobs, good jobs that will enable someone, right? Especially the younger folks, to set up a family. Must be won't debate over you should have more kids or less kids or whatever. Although the trend is towards just one child or maximum two, because it's very expensive to raise. Also, if you've got good jobs and we can pay for our housing mortgage, even if you strip away, eventually you have got all your EVs that's running around, you still need to own your house at least for 99 years in terms of list, sell your family, and for one generation you'll live. That model has to be sustained in any countries, right? If you have got no jobs and whatever, you can't buy, you can't afford kind of things, and people will have to start thinking, and maybe I have to find work elsewhere. But if you move from Singapore at a high cost, you move over to those one in the developing countries, your salary is based on the base salary. There's no longer an expat kind of salary. So if I say, just for example, goes over to Malaysia and earn ringgit and whatever, it's very hard to afford a house in Singapore at that kind. So people may start thinking, maybe I shouldn't be back in Singapore. Maybe I should be in Malaysia and buy a house and at that level. So those who stay at home like me will get older and older. So you can see this happening in Japan and also in Korea. The next generation, if it doesn't repopulate, the older ones will go, the younger ones will go overseas. What is left? So we are seeing, in a crossroad of nations relooking at what they're going to do 50 or 100 years down the road, and they need to get their politics right now before that, because none of us, at least for me, is going to live for another 30 years to see how it is.
I think that's what amazes me with Lee Kuan Yew and the history of Singapore, is that at a point in time, a very strategic thinking, policy and frameworks were put in place that people blinked, and within one generation, Singapore leapfrogged to become a leading beacon within the world when it comes to how a country can work and should operate?
I grew up from that generation, and probably my son, because my son is a millennial, so it benefits my mom's first generation, myself second, and my son is the third generation. Lee Kuan Yew policies from third to first world was very good in the fifth 60 years, which is now what we are living. The next 60 years will be very, very different, and in my opinion, it will be even tougher for simple reasons. When we are going out for the first 50 years, we probably are leading a lot in terms of talent trails, whatever. We built our top universities, we built our top workforce, overseas companies, the big boys, the HPs, the Shells come invest, it creates jobs, and they build our middle income. So these middle incomes enable us to buy our HDB and second properties and cars around them. This generation cannot be sustained. So the next generation will be what sort of a job? Because when we were growing up, we were making computers. We were practically making anything and everything. Correct. For the first 60 years. Now we hardly, we are making wafers, but this is mostly a lot of automatic and whatever. And so therefore, we need to create a lot more jobs, good paying jobs, in order to sustain the level of. It is a very, very tough cycle. We are in an F1 race. If I slow down, we will be overtaken. And number 2 and number 3 is no good. If you're not on a podium, it's no good.
But to that point, right, I think that what is needed is that future forward thought leadership, because what Lee Kuan Yew and the leaders at that time did is not think because it's always an F1 race.
Yeah.
But if you're thinking within the limitations of that track and that vehicle, you're just not going to leapfrog, right? Because they thought forward, right? And that brings me back to my earlier point, the economics of Singapore, and worry me a little bit, because it feels like, I think when I last checked, 30% of the population earns between 1 to 4,000. Then from 4 to 7 is another 30. From 7 to 9 is another 30. So 90% of your population is sub $10,000 a month. Okay, so the remaining 10 is on the higher side. Now, if you look at the cost of living, if you look at the manufacturing point you made, if you look at the jobs, if you look at the economics of enterprise versus SME versus doing business locally versus doing business overseas, I feel like there's a ticking time bomb there that needs to be solved. I don't know what the answer is because, how do you ensure you retain your talent? How do you ensure that you provide good jobs? How do you ensure that the economics of your country work?
Yeah.
That requires a lot of thought leadership.
So we will need, and I'm sure the leaders are thinking very hard to have a structure with it. The good old days of working with MNCs, the Bart Simpson's kind of era, probably again, what maybe the younger people, if I were to advise a 21 or 22 years old now, graduating, is why don't you try something different, create certain things, make certain things, do certain things that is uniquely. If you can't work for other people, you work for yourself and see how this can be of value to someone else. So if you are into entrepreneurial, do something, buy something, create something, and make it valuable, and then sell it off. So essentially going into an entrepreneurial kind of spirit, at least for the first 5 years, and we'll see how it is.
And AI can really help with that, boss.
That's my key point. When I started off, it all depends on brain power, individual, how talented you are, or how much of an IQ, plus maybe a couple of close friends who can help. But then we were all working on the same base, right? My tutor or my mentor will probably be a few years older than one, so essentially it's all on the same base. But now our tutor and our guru, wonderful, is both human as well as AI, which is kind of like shortened. Then it helps you to test certain things and go out and be an entrepreneur, or create certain things that only you are uniquely able to do and have a run with it. And your market is not just simply in Singapore, but the rest of the world. You create certain things, you put it up onto the net, and you see whether or not people will pinch you and say, hey, you've got a great idea, why don't we help? So the entrepreneur spirit may be something that results into
Carries
very
it.
interesting